But hold that thought, because one thing I'm just interested to know is during that time, those 3 tours, where did family come into that?
Yeah, interesting. So that was a big game changer for me. It's just before my 3rd tour, I met my now wife at Snetterton race circuit on a motorbike track day, and she was on her bike, and I was like, wow, this is the woman for me, I think. And it wasn't very long after that that I went away on my 3rd tour. But that was a game changer, because I was, for the first time, I'd properly fallen head over heels in love with this amazing woman, and thankfully, we subsequently got married. But that was a pressure I didn't have for the first 2 tours. I thoroughly enjoyed those first 2 tours of being fully committed, consolidating on my flying skills, knowing I was making a big difference, getting to do some low pressure flying where there wasn't much on, and just getting slicker and better at operating the aircraft. And on the times where things were properly kicking off, knowing I was making a real difference. With all those things, without any pressure of family at home, that some of the guys, some of the older guys, were married and had kids. And that really heavily plays in your mind. So for me, by the time I'd met my wife, gone out on the 3rd tour, and realised actually this is another reason that I want to be moving on, because this is a young single man's job in my eyes, and I wanted to, all of a sudden, not necessarily expecting it, but I just now knew I was going to get married and we were going to try and start a family, and it was time to move on. Coupled with the fact that at the end of that 3rd tour, that was going to be probably my last bit of flying for some time. I would have gone into a staff job, non-flying, for a short period, staff college, into another couple of years of non-flying, and then potentially come back as a squadron boss, where you'd still get to do some flying, but you're in charge of the squadron. You're going to be busy with administrative and command duties. So the consequences of that were going to be lots of moving around, working pretty hard, doing things that I wasn't particularly enjoying the idea of, and being mostly out of the cockpit. So the best plan that we could come up with between my wife and I was that if I transferred across to the Air Force to carry on flying helicopters, we could go and have some stability, live in a nice part of the world in South Oxfordshire, and have a lot more capacity for life. Because you can probably tell I was running hot that whole time. I was working really hard, no spare time, through everything at the military. All my weekends, I'd volunteer to be an authorising officer on a weekend. I'd be doing weekend air testing, or I'd be away on exercise, or I'd be deployed. So I remember, like 2008, I was away for 10 months of the year, for example. I just felt by the time I'd met my wife, done that 3rd tour, I felt, right, actually, it's now time for a bit of a step change. It was really cool flying the Apache, it was really cool operating it in Afghan, but I've done that now, and I would actually like to have a bit more of a work-life balance. Actually have a life. So what would be great would be going to do some lower pressure flying on a different type, bit more fun, bit more interesting, and actually having enough time to live, enjoy being in a nice relationship, having evenings and weekends off, and having some stability, and then living in a nice part of the world, and all that was the case.